Groove City Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The best DJs.
The best music.
GrooveCityRadio.com.
Okay, and we're finally good to go here. The S-Man is in the house, Mr. Roger Sanchez. How are we doing?
Very, very, very good. Glad to be taking over here for a little while. Sorry to kick you out of your post.
That's what happens when you don't check your record box and you come out, or you update the software and it just doesn't work. Media file collapse.
Record box just doesn't like you.
It doesn't like me at all. It likes your tunes. You're the man here. How are you anyway? How was your journey over here?
Very, very good, man. Actually, just getting ready to play Arches tomorrow night.
Yes, I'm looking forward to playing in front of you and warming up for you.
Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to hear what you got. Hopefully your USBs are going to work, man.
Well, I will hopefully be bringing 2 or 3 USBs with me just to make sure one of them at least works.
You got to make sure they're always on point, man.
So, did you arrive today?
Just got in last night, actually.
And what have you been up to today? What have you been doing around about Glasgow?
Today I just had a bit of a nice lunch. Popped on over to SubHub. That tomorrow afternoon I'm going to be, actually tomorrow evening, I'm going to be having a little wee chat with Graham Park, man, one of the legends from Glasgow.
Yeah, he is a legend in Glasgow, a legend in Scotland, and a legend of the Hacienda. He's going to be coming in here on Saturday to do a little 40-30 party for Mr. John Collins.
Wicked. He's the man. He's the man.
So you're looking after the Arches tomorrow night. What's you've been in Scotland quite a few times now. What's been your kind of most favourable time here? What do you remember about Glasgow?
Wow, man, I've played here so many times, between the Arches, the Tunnel, which has been amazing. I think one of my most amazing times was playing Hogmanay on, in the 90s. Must have been, and there was probably about 25,000 people out there in the square. It's mad, absolutely crazy.
And it's still mad to this day. You've been going for many years now. You're the same age as me. You're a year older than me.
So we don't like to tell the dates.
That's where did Mr. Sanchez come from?
Well, I was born in New York City. My parents from the Dominican Republic, so it's that's the Latin edge. And I came up in that kind of original heyday of house music, and it's great to see it come back.
It's great to see it come back. Do you think it ever went away? Because obviously coming from New York and stuff like that, America's more kind of hip hop orientated. Why did you choose to go down the kind of house sound?
It's interesting because for me it was more a matter of the vibe of what where house came from originally. It came from Chicago. It was really mixed in with kind of like the early days of hip hop. It crossed. And then it was like the rebirth of disco when it first came out. And it was one of those things that really touched me, especially coming from the Latin background, and all the Latin rhythms really kind of just grabbed me. And I was happy to just kind of make that transition, because I was an old school hip hop DJ. So a lot of my techniques are cutting and scratching and just really getting into that vibe. And that's translated into what I did with house music and all my beats. So for me, it was kind of like that cross section of the two. New York is very rich in terms of different musical genres and tastes. So I love the fact that it was that vibe coming from Chicago and via New York, and then bringing that to the UK.
So how did you actually start out DJing then? How did it all begin?
For me, I was 13 years old, man. I was a wee kid when I first started, and I came from the breakdancing side of things, getting into the whole dance floor. And one of my mates was a DJ, and I was looking at him going, you know what, I'd love to be able to do that. And then that's how I really kind of stepped into it. He gave me a shot. He said, why don't you take over at one of his house parties? And I was hooked.
You're hooked. Now, obviously, New York has got a rich set of DJs that likes Kenny Dope Gonzalez, Louis Vega, obviously yourself. Were you all brought up in the same kind of area? Did you all hang about together, or how did that all work?
Well, coming up in that era in New York, I had met Todd Terry and then Louis Vega and Kenny Dope just from our reputations from doing tracks. Todd was kind of like the first one out, and then after that was Masters at Work. And we kind of all, had releases and had big records and started collaborating and hanging out back in that early 90s era.
It sounds wicked, man. It absolutely sounds wicked. Let's hear a bit some more music from you.
Right now we got my remix of Tough Love So Freaking Tight under my S-Man vibe.
Groove City Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The best DJs.
The best music.
GrooveCityRadio.com.
So we're live here in Groove City Radio on the House Matters special, along with Mr. Roger Sanchez. I'm Iain Boney Clark asking the questions. Now, Roger, you've went under a few guises: Underground Solution, DV8, Ego Trip, El Maharachi, the S-Man, New Sounds. But you've also done some major work with the likes of Mr. Michael Jackson, Kenny Gonzalez, Lisa Stansfield, M People. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the studio, it looks like. You know, it's interesting. For me, a lot of the different monikers in the early days was all about being able to have a different expression for whatever sound I was going after. And it's funny because I really brought back what I'm doing as the S-Man within the last year and a half, just focusing on the underground sound of stuff. And I've always had a lot of fun trying and experimenting with different sounds and different monikers.
Your list goes on and on and on. I mean, there's some Lenny Kravitz, Lisa Stansfield, who else is on here? Depeche Mode, Sergio Mendes. I mean, these must be fantastic people to work with. Do you actually work with them, or do you just do the mixes themselves?
Most of those are remixes, but I have worked with people like Kathy Sledge directly. I've been in the studio with a lot of different amazing vocalists and musicians over the years, and I always find that it's always better when you're actually going into the studio with somebody to do something different. I've had people re-vocal the remixes based on what I've done, and then that leads to like some production work. I've done stuff with Incognito, where Bluey and I went into the studio and came up with some ideas. So it was always a lot of fun actually writing with them, as opposed to just only doing a remix.
Now, you've obviously done some underground stuff, as I said, like Underground Solution, Love Dance, and things like that. What do you think has been your most satisfying, working with underground stuff or working with the bigger producers, and what's been your most successful to date?
You know, it's interesting. I always have a lot of fun doing the underground stuff because those are just kind of things that I have fun at the club with, and when I'm playing my more kind of underground sets, it's always fun to do that. But I love songwriting, so I think, you know, it's a balance. For me, I've always been able to strike that balance, and probably my most successful record's been Another Chance as Roger Sanchez. So that's one of those ones that I never expected to be as big as it was, but then it just kind of took off on its own.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. It sounds good. So what does Mr. Sanchez do in your spare time?
What spare time? I seem to be on airplanes most of the time. You know, recently I've been just really focusing on a lot of productions. I've got family, 2 kids, so I kind of spend as much time as I can with them and really just enjoying what I do. If I get a chance to chill out, I'm usually on the beach.
Do you try and get back home as much as you possibly can, or
absolutely?
Are you constantly out DJing all the time?
I mean, I'm DJing a lot, but I try to be at home as much as I possibly can, just to kind of spend time with the kids and make it something that, you know, we get a chance to be together, because it's not easy, especially with the amount of work that I do. You know, it's very important to be able to actually spend quality time with the family. So that's always been my priority with that.
They're saying that you're obviously all over the world. Do you get fed up? Do you get fed up traveling all the time?
I think for me, I love being in different places, but I get tired of flying on airplanes a lot. But that being said, I have to say that, you know, I've been very blessed to do what I love for a living and to travel around the world and see different places, you know, out of the record box.
So what do you do? You're sitting at an airport, you're there for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. What do you do in that time?
You know, what I've done is I bring a recording studio with me everywhere I go around the world. So I'm kind of usually working on edits, organizing my music, you know, or just kind of just chilling, kicking back and just listening to stuff.
So with your mobile editing software, what do you do? What kind of software do you use?
I'm using Logic for actual production, and then I'm using Ableton Live to do like a lot of the radio show mixes, and also to kind of do a lot of loops and really fast edits. And that, you know, that combination really works for me.
So do you do a lot of stuff on the fly at your gigs and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I usually play with 4 decks and USBs, so everything is pretty much done right there on the spot. I do a lot of looping, a lot of acapellas. I try to make it very creative and kind of do remixes on the spot.
Now, being a creative person, who was the kind of guys that you used to look up to when you were younger? Who was the guys that kind of inspired you and made you want to be a DJ and go out and do stuff?
You know, guys more from the hip hop side, like DJ Red Alert was a big influence. Also, Larry Levan, Tony Humphries, you know, Timmy Regisford. These are all New York DJs that I used to listen to playing all the time and be very impressed by how they kind of took the crowds on journeys. And those are things that I wanted to emulate, and they kind of really inspired me to move forward doing what I do.
Fantastic. All big heavyweight names over here. Now, are those kind of guys big in America? Are they? Because sometimes you kind of find that the American DJs are more bigger in Europe than they are in the USA.
I think that they've had some of them have done very, very well in the States, and most of them have done very well most overseas. I think now it's interesting seeing how global dance music has become, and you know, there's this entire underground movement that's really creeping up in the States of house music. Even though the EDM thing has been very, very big, the house heads have really come back, especially this new generation of house music. So you see newer guys coming up and really starting to kind of cross in the States as well as overseas.
So do you think that some of the big name DJs that have been made over here are starting to, even though they come from America, they're actually starting to reinvent themselves back in America?
I think they're starting to, some of the guys, you know. I think especially collaborating with like the newer generation of DJs is very helpful and able to kind of get the new inspiration, and the younger generation of DJs been kind of grown up on what we've done over the years.
Yeah. So in saying that as well, who's the most famous person you've got on your phone?
Oh wow, I've got a few.
You obviously know a lot of big guys out there, big heavyweights.
I know a
so
couple.
you must be.
All the major DJs, you know, pretty much everyone from the underground to even the crossover guys like Guetta and Tiesto on that side, all the underground heads from Louis Vega to Deep Dish, some vocalists that I've worked with over the years.
What about Obama?
Yeah, he's not on my phone. He's not on my phone. I wouldn't mind. He's not on my phone though.
You could do a wee guest set in the White House.
You know what I'm saying? Drop some beats on the White House.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's listen to some of your music.
Yes, let's get more into the mix. This, what you just listened to right now, is my collaboration with Tough Love called In the Name of Love. And before that was my collab with Tom Flynn as the S-Man called New Evolution.
It's all about the S-Man.
Yes, sir.
Groove City Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The best DJs.
The best music.
GrooveCityRadio.com.
Can you hear me call?
So you're tuned into House Matters here on Groove City Radio with the man, Mr. Roger Sanchez, playing live for you since my MP3 player USB crashed. He's just pulled me out of a hole. Such a shame. But we're listening to the man himself playing live, which is rather special in here. Now, you are playing the Archies tomorrow night.
Yes.
For everybody, be down there for 10 o'clock until 3 in the morning. You are ministry on Saturday, is that correct?
Saturday night I'm doing the Get Twisted party with Tough Love. That's going to be a lot of fun too. I can't wait for tomorrow night. You know, I used to play Arches all the time here in Glasgow in the 90s, and it's been a while since I played there, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the vibe.
Should be good, mate. Should be good. So what else have you got planned for the rest of the season, so to speak?
Well, this summertime I'm going to be at Sankey's in Ibiza. I'm doing the Thursday nights. I think it's called Red Light, in association with Colors. And that's going to be like me, Tough Love, Todd Terry, Carneo Beats, loads of guys. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm pretty much touring everywhere. I'm in the studio doing tons of new music, lots of collaborations. I've got another one coming with Carneo Beats. I'm just dropping one with Tom Flynn, myself under the name The S-Man, and Seven Fisher on the vocals. I've done something with Tough Love and as S-Man and Boy George, which is going to be coming out next. And then I've got the next Roger Sanchez record, which I'm gonna drop later on in the summertime. I think I might drop it for you guys a little bit later on. Like right now, I'm playing the collaboration I did with Huxley under the name S-Man as Colin, and yeah, I've been busy. Busy.
It sounds, you sound very busy. How do you keep up with things like that? How do you keep everything
Organized.
Organized? Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that I'm very fortunate to be very prolific when I'm actually in a good headspace musically, and it's just I literally go one track right after the other, and you know I've done a couple of remixes as well, and it's just nonstop. I love it. That's the big key. I love what I do.
So the best thing to do is do one, get it done, get it finished, and move on to the next one.
Right straight on to the next one.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, looking forward to loads of your new stuff coming out, hopefully very, very soon. So tell me, out with DJing, what's your passion? What do you do?
I mean, I love architecture and fashion, so that's something that I'm also into, being able to do different artistic things. It's all about artistic expression for me.
Were you taught to be an architect?
I studied architecture in college, university, for about 4 years, and it's something that you know is very much a part of what I do creatively, and everything kind of refers back to that. So for me, it's all integrated. You know, music, art, fashion, food, all of it kind of mixes together for me.
So if you weren't a DJ, what would you think you would be? Do you think you would be an architect?
Probably be an architect or a designer of some kind. I'd definitely be doing something with arts because I just love being expressive.
Right. Now we've seen over the last since. Let me just have a wee look at this. Since 1998 up to about 2010, you've been nominated for the Best House DJ, and you've won it what 3, 4, 5 times?
I've got a few awards, and they're always fun. I think for me the best award is just seeing how people respond to the music that I'm playing, you know, live, and see how that works. That's always been like the biggest thing for me. But it's always great to kind of get those nominations in.
So what about the Grammy nomination? That must be your biggest award yet, is it not?
I think definitely winning a Grammy was pretty much a very defining moment for me, and I think that. You know, it's always great to get one of those awards, but I think the thing for me is always to be able to have kind of like the recognition for what I've done, but always be able to move on to new projects.
So always busy, good. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. We asked a couple of Facebook. I put a message up on Facebook asking if they wanted a couple of questions for you, right? So we have.
Far away.
First one, Ricky McGowan, Mr. Ricky McGowan, right?
Ricky himself.
In fact, tell me something, right? So you played for Colours many times.
Yeah.
What was your first impressions of Mr. Ricky McGowan?
Wow, Ricky was a very colourful character, still is. And I just remember the first time going, "Ore!" and that very thick Scottish accent when I just kind of being the American, not really understanding the Scottish accent. I was just like, huh? But he was just like this big bear, just really, really very, very nice, very lovable, absolutely mad.
Was his trousers at his ankles?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually the welcome for Ricky.
He's a big tree.
Big tree, there you go, your big trunk.
A big trunk.
Yeah, big trunk. So, Mr. Jason Muir had asked, what's your top 3 venues you'd like to play at?
You know, it's funny that I always get asked this question, like, what's the favorite venues? There's definitely different places. I love playing at Stereo in Montreal. I think Pachán, Ibiza was one of my favorite places to play. And I think Cabo Paradiso and Mykonos.
Fantastic. All very exotic, eh? All very exotic.
The thing is, it's the crowd response and the surroundings that make it really interesting.
Brilliant. Now, Mr. Barry Sheridan asks, listen, now this is just random questions. Have you ever heard of a macaroon bar?
A macaroon bar?
Or a Tunnocks tea cake?
I've heard of Tunnocks tea cake. I don't know what the heck it is, though.
So, well, tell me one, macaroon or Tunnock tea cake?
Okay, there you go.
Tunnocks tea cake, then, right? We'll go with that one. Right.
We'll go with that one.
Adidas or Nike?
Y3, Adidas.
Y3, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you remember back in the early 90s, somebody had said at the tunnel that the police came in and shut the club down.
Yep. And the crowd at the end of the night started chanting, "There's only one Roger Sanchez," and like a football match, the Guantanamera. That thing is stuck in my mind for the rest of my life.
Fantastic. Well, people still obviously get the memories of that as well. Now, John Falconer asks, should Scotland be an independent country?
Bloody heck, I don't know, man. That's now we're getting into politics, man. Ask me if Scotland should have bigger beats, and I'll tell you yes. But should it be an independent country? I don't know, man. You guys can answer that better than me.
You just do what you want. Now, Mikey McLean, he says here, I was one of the supporting DJs in Roger's second ever Malaysian gig in 2000.
Wow.
I'm reviving my production company called Mud City, and I want to ask Roger, would you do me a favour in honour of headlining a Mud City night in the hopefully not too distant future?
It'd be lovely to headline one of those things.
So do you remember that Malaysian gig?
I believe so. I think it was one of the festivals that I played in Malaysia. That was a while ago.
Anyway, well, 2000,
Many moons.
so yes, so 15 years ago anyway.
Many moons, yes.
So, forgot what I was going to say there. tell me what your favourite track is just now.
Wow.
Well,
This is the one that I always have a hard time just naming what my favorite track is.
Well, let me put it another way. What records or what track or MP3 player is always in your box and never fails to leave your box?
I think probably You Got the Love, the original version from Candy Staten, because I always play that a cappella. That's always one of my favorite records to pull out.
Always.
Always.
So how do you see the scene at the moment?
I think it's very healthy. I think the house scene has really come back very, very strong in the UK. And I think that I'm seeing it. It reminds me of when it first came around in the 90s, except there's newer, younger players now. But the vibe is the same, and I love it.
So all those the new younger DJs coming through, what kind of advice do you give to them? What would be your advice to say your longevity, how to make it, how you going to last as long as what you have lasted?
I think it's all about really having a very strong love for the music. That's really what it's about for me. You know, I love what I do, and I'm constantly hunting to try to do different things.
Cool. Okay, let's have a few tracks off you, and then we'll come back in a couple of minutes.
Let's go.
Groove City Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The best DJs.
The best music.
GrooveCityRadio.com.
So we're tuned in here, House Matters, myself, Iain Boney Clark, on Groove City Radio with the legend that is Mr. Roger Sanchez.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Sanchez, I have a little present for you. In fact, before I give you a little present, Paul Mulholland, one of our DJs here who looks after the Superfly Sundays, has just come in. We asked Mr. Sanchez, did he like macaroon bars or did he like a Tunnocks tea cake? And Mr. Paul Mulholland has now come in and given Mr. Sanchez his first
tea cake.
His first set of Tunnocks tea cake.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, this will mean me in the gym tomorrow for sure. But you know what? It looks yummy.
Oh,
it's lovely.
You'll love it. Fantastic.
I can't
fantastic. Good Scottish produce.
Absolutely. Has to be done.
Have you tried Iron Brew?
I definitely have tried Iron Brew.
Fantastic. Good.
Oh, mate. That will keep me going.
Why won't America let it into the country?
I have no idea.
Why?
There's certain things that America just doesn't let in, which I've never understood why. Never understood why.
They shouldn't let Ricky McGowan in. That's one thing for sure. They shouldn't let him in. Right, so I have a good friend of mine called Harry Miller, who is a fashion designer.
Yes.
And he started up his own fashion,
his
own clothing company. So I'm going to hand you, just now, could you take a picture of Michelle?
Wait a minute.
We're going to get a picture. So Harry sees me, there you go.
Oh, yes.
So this is 40 clothing, and Harry said,
love it.
He would love for you to wear that at one of your gigs.
I will be more than happy to. And it's my favorite color.
And it's reflective as well. 3M reflective. So, Harry, I have done my job. Mr. Sanchez is in the house with your t-shirt now, and he's going to wear it at one of your gigs. I can't do any more than that, mate.
No, it's done well.
Done well. Now, tell us, what can we expect tomorrow night at the Archies?
Definitely going to be expecting a lot of what you just heard. A lot of underground, a lot of proper house music, vocals, and a big party atmosphere.
Fantastic, because the crowd is going to be up for it as normal.
Can't wait.
Scottish crowds, hand in the
Love
air.
it. I love the Scottish crowd. One of my favorite crowds in the world.
So where's in Scotland then? What's been your favourite club you've played? And remember, you're playing for Colours tomorrow night.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's a tie between the Tunnel and Arches. Both of them have been amazing for me.
Yeah, fantastic. Both good clubs. Both
Yes.
clubs. The Colours is obviously just the edges at your favourite.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I've always loved, that crowd. By the way, this that I'm playing right now is my next Roger Sanchez record. It's called Remember Me.
Fantastic.
You guys get a chance. This is the only one who's played it before me has been Pete Tong, so you guys get a chance to hear it.
Well, let me just hear you for a couple. Let's put it up for a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Now I'm rising, new horizons. Just close your eyes and you'll see me again.
So we are just closing up here now at House Matters. It's been a House Matters special here on Groove City Radio with myself, Iain Boney Clark. Mr. Roger Sanchez has been in the house.
Been a lot of fun.
Been a lot of fun. He has got me out of a hole. My MP3 player crashed on the record box, and Mr. Sanchez has been DJing himself all night, so I thank you for that, sir.
And listen, as luck would have it, I got a chance to give you a full hour of the S-Man and Roger Sanchez, so, you know, that's always a lot of fun. A little bit of promotion.
Promotion, eh?
As you do.
There's no bad promotion at all. All
Not
good,
at
all
all.
good. Well, listen, I'm going to ask you one more question, right? And this
Okay.
is a random question.
Okay, I'll give you a random answer.
This is going to make no sense at all.
Okay.
A giraffe or an elephant?
Do you know what? No, actually, I'll tell you the truth. An elephant.
An elephant?
An
Oh.
elephant.
Have you ever heard of a giraffe that's got vertigo?
That's got to be pretty disturbing.
That is disturbing. A bit disturbing. Listen, thank you very much for taking the time out.
Thanks for
The
having
guy
me
that I'm
down.
talking about there, the
Jason.
giraffe and the elephant, he has got vertigo. He's a big guy. He's about 6 foot. He's about 6'7", and I just thought I'd just throw that in there.
Oh,
So,
bloody hell.
big Jason Muir, how you doing, mate? Thank you very much once again, Mr. Roger Sanchez.
Thank you. I'll see you all tomorrow night at the Arches.
Tomorrow
all right?
night at the Archies. Be there from 10 o'clock onwards. It's going to be rocking.
Yes, sir.
From me, Iain Boney Clark, Roger Sanchez, good night.
Good night.
Boom! There's your dinner.
Groove City Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The best DJs. The best music. GrooveCityRadio.com.
Boom. There's your dinner.
Boom, there's your dinner.